Hello, everyone, and welcome to OHSCA Interviews. I'm Vasu Bardwaj, and I'm your host for today's episode. Today, I'm happy to have with me the MP for Peace River Westlock, Arnold Viersen. Arnold, how are you?
I'm doing good, Vasu. How are you?
Good. Obviously, there has been some sad news today at the date of this recording, and we here at OHSCA would like to extend our condolences to the family of the Honorable Jim Carr, the MP for Winnipeg South Centre.
Yeah, he's been struggling with cancer for a number of years now, and he passed away today. So an interesting thing that happens when members of Parliament pass away uh, when they're sitting in office is that for the rest of the day, the House of Commons is suspended. They put a big bouquet on his desk, and we take the rest of the day to commemorate Mr. Carr.
Yeah, it's obviously very sad news. No matter of what political background or political stripe, someone in public service representing constituents to pass away from cancer or
Yes.
for any matter from anything. So before I hop into our question and answer segment and into the interview, I want to ask you, how did you get started into politics?
Oh, that's a tough question. It's a big question, I suppose. So I'm an auto mechanic by trade. I've always kind of been interested in politics, never participated a whole bunch up until 2013 when in Alberta they added 6 new seats to Alberta. And so where I lived became part of one of the brand new ridings in Canada. And that was quite an opportunity. I was 27 years old at the time, and I didn't think that 27-year-olds got elected, and so I worked to help get other folks elected. But most of the people that I approached to run, they had a good excuse why they shouldn't, but all of them said, "Hey, Arnold, if you think this is such a good idea, you should give it a go." So I got interested into politics, I guess, for kind of 3 reasons. One, I'm pro-life, and I'm frustrated with the lack of protection for the preborn humans in Canada. The other issue is around firearms ownership. I'm a firearms owner myself, and frustrated with the way Canada treats firearms owners and firearm ownership. And so that got me excited to get involved in politics. And the final reason, I'm being from Alberta. Back in 2013, I was increasingly frustrated with the way Canada treated Alberta, and so for those 3 reasons, I thought I should get involved. I basically got mad and was like, I got to do something about this, and so that's how I got involved in politics. But yeah, that was so almost 10 years ago now, so it's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up many important points. I mean, what the Trudeau government is doing with Bill C-22 with the hunting guns and such is really unforeseen and like unheard of in our history as well. And generally, the whatever the Trudeau government does, it's they really mess up. I'll say that. And to be honest, that's how many people get involved in politics. They get mad at whoever's leading in charge. I mean, you see the Trudeau government, uh, they have been a wreck for the past 7 years, ever since they've been leading this country since 2015, whether you see it from a fiscal perspective, a policy perspective, anything. And
Hmm.
honestly, that's how I got involved although I've always been a conservative, I got more and more involved near the pandemic, seeing the reckless spending of the Trudeau government and the misuse of Canadian public funds.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
yeah. So thank you, Arnold, for your time today, and thank you for joining us. So without further ado, I want to hop in right into our question and answer segment. And these questions are asked by members of our high school team.
Okay.
So question number one comes from Hayden in Simcoe, York. York Simcoe, and he wants to ask you, what was it like having the chance to be an MP under multiple CPC leaders ever since 2015? And what do you see as a future with Poilievre as a new leader?
Well, yeah, thanks for that question about the I was elected under Stephen Harper, although he was the leader when I got elected. I never really served underneath him as he stepped down fairly quickly. And then we had Ronna Ambrose. I served under Ronna Ambrose, and then we had Andrew Scheer. Then we had was it and then Andrew stayed on as interim leader. Then we had Aaron O'Toole. Then we had Candice Bergen, and now we have Pierre Poilievre. And I have to say that each leader leaves a stamp on the party. Each leader, you get to feel their personality move out throughout the party. The people they put in place, the policies they pursue, all of those kinds of things. Now, under Pierre, the current leader, I have never experienced such excitement, such enthusiasm, such a groundswell of folks that have gotten involved with the Conservative Party of Canada as with him. That is unprecedented. The amount of memberships that we sold, over 600,000 memberships in our party. We're by far the largest political party in the history of this country at this point. I'm really excited about where we're going with this. And Pierre has really straightened out the course and really has put us on a place where I think we have a good shot of winning the next election, provided we can get through to the NDP and get them to quit supporting the Liberal government.
Yeah. I mean, what Pierre is doing is really unseen, right? He's unifying many conservative Canadians, and he's bringing many new conservatives into the party, because really he's just talking about the issues that matter, issues that are affecting Canadians. And the work of this costly coalition isn't making those issues any better, hence why people are switching to the Conservative Party of Canada. And under Pierre, as you said, our memberships have been at record highs, not only in the Conservative Party, but in the history of Canada in any political party. So it's great to see that not only Pierre is uniting Canadians and Conservatives, but also his caucus as well. As we saw with the previous leader, Aaron O'Toole, he divided many people, not only in the caucus, but many people as the Conservatives. So I want to ask you a little bit of a follow-up question to this. And we asked this to party president Rob Batherson as well. What would you say comparing your time under Aaron O'Toole and Pierre Poilievre?
Well, Aaron was elected to be the leader of our party, and he put his stamp on it. I would say that the caucus was, we gave him the shot at the election, and then he blamed the two conservative elements of our caucus. He wanted to bring us more in line with what the Liberals were at, and that was not tenable for our base nor for the caucus. I think Pierre has done a good job of being boldly conservative, and we know that conservative answers to the issues that are in front of us today are the answers that will make our country better and prosper. And so, Aaron was the guy that led our party for a time, and he took the party in the direction he thought he needed to go, and that was rejected. And so I think Pierre is doing a much better job in terms of staying humble, staying to our roots, and promoting conservative values across the country.
Yeah. So I want to move on to our next question, and this is not really talked about as much as when you're a member of parliament. And this comes from Evan in Ottawa, and he wants to ask you, what does your day-to-day schedule look like as an MP from Alberta, and what's your favorite part of the job?
Okay, so I'm going to switch that around a little bit. My favorite part of the job is traveling around the country, meeting with folks. That's definitely my favorite. I'm an extrovert. I like dealing with people, and getting to travel getting to travel to meet people is definitely my favorite part of the job. I represent a riding in northern Alberta that's, in terms of land mass, is larger than several European countries, and so traveling just inside my own riding there's like a day's worth of travel to be done just inside the riding. So I get to do that a lot. My day-to-day schedule, to some degree, there isn't a set schedule. but generally, you spend a lot of time prepping for the day. So whatever is going on in the House of Commons in a particular week. So we were there about 27 weeks a year. When you're not there, then you're getting ready to be there, essentially. So you're trying to find good arguments. You're trying to find how people think, what people think about particular bills. You're reading the media on what the media has to say. What are they reporting? What people think about particular bills and particular projects. So that's part of the day. The other part of the day you spend, what does the Conservative Party think on a particular subject? That's always a bit of a challenge. So we have meetings with people that care about particular issues to figure out what the Conservative Party thinks about something, and that's where we bring the things that we know to the job. And sometimes there's an area that you don't really know a whole bunch about nor care a whole bunch about, so you will leave that to your caucus members who know and care more about that issue. And then there's other areas. So some of those areas that I really focus on is on the fight against human trafficking. I spend a lot of time building coalitions of people, building groups of people that think similarly on the fight against human trafficking, and work hard to push that issue forward through Parliament. And so to that end, I am one of the co-chairs of an all-party group to end human trafficking and modern-day slavery, and I'm pretty proud of the work that we've done with that. And so that's kind of one of the areas that I work a lot on. But yeah, in terms of day to day, when I'm in Ottawa, usually get to Parliament Hill 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. Parliament starts at 10, so you got to try to get organized as to what's happening in Parliament for the day. And that'll take, if you're on House duty, so we don't all have to be there at the same time. We kind of schedule each other in and out. But if you're on House duty and you got to be there, you'll be there till 7:30 in the evening, and there'll be committee meetings kind of coming and going throughout the day. So it's very busy when you're in Ottawa, and then when you're not in Ottawa, then you're generally driving around the riding, trying to get people's opinions about things that I don't necessarily know a great deal about, and so you want to take their views back to Ottawa. So you got to figure that out. So meet people and discuss the bills of the day, such as C-21, the new firearm bill.
Yeah. And just to speak on it a little bit, I know you said you focus a lot about the prevention of human trafficking and matters like that. As you may know, there's a current by-election happening in Mississauga Lakeshore, actually on the date of this recording, and that is actually the hub for sex and human trafficking in Canada, Mississauga, believe it or not. And
Okay.
Ron Chisner, the Conservative candidate there, has been standing on many committees, such as to help prevent that as a police officer. And yeah, I mean it's great to see. But I want to ask a little bit of a follow up to that. So what is your work to help like prevent that, or to help hear people who have been traumatized by that look like?
Yeah, so probably the most successful things that I've been doing, I have done with the all-party group. So one of the things we did a couple of years back was we passed a motion calling February 22nd the National Day to Recognize Human Trafficking. We've worked together. I've worked with the other co-chairs to pass a bill. I think it's almost through the House of Commons now, Bill S-211, which would put in place supply chain reporting. Many of the products that we buy from around the world have forced labor in them, and this bill would make it so that companies that are selling products here in Canada would have to do a report on what their impact on human trafficking would be. I also work with a colleague, Colin Carey from Oshawa. Him and Senator Tulajan have been working on a bill to bring Canada in full alignment with the Palermo Protocol. The Palermo Protocol was a document that was signed onto by a number of countries from around the world, recognizing human trafficking for the moral ill that it is, but then also coming up with a game plan on how to combat it. And so it lays out a strategy or a plan, and it's as legislators, we try to work to bring Canada's laws in alignment, Canada's policies in alignment, and Canada's programs in alignment with the Palermo Protocol. And so Colin Carey has a bill that he's put forward to bring Canada in full alignment with the Palermo Protocol. So I've been working with him on that. I also have a bill C-308. That bill would mandate that the government maintain a national strategy to end human trafficking. I've introduced that bill just last week, and so you can follow it as it goes through. It also would require the government to issue an annual report as to the state of human trafficking in Canada, and it would have them have to put in place targets and identify like meaningful targets for their national action plan. So I'm excited about that bill. And finally, I've got a bill called the CEASE Act, the Stop Internet Sexual Exploitation Act, Bill C-270. And this bill is likely to come up next fall, unless we have an election before that. But that would require companies that are putting images on the internet to maintain records of the age and the consent of the people that are appearing in those images or videos, to ensure that non-consensual and underaged videos are not showing up on the internet. So that's the CEASE Act, and I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, it's definitely groundbreaking work you're doing in Parliament, and on behalf of Canadians, and not only as Canadian citizens, thank you. It's definitely nice to see that an effort is being put towards stopping it. So I want to speak more about your job as an MP and your past experiences. So this question comes from me, and I want to ask you, what experiences do you use from past experiences, such as being a mechanic, when it comes to your work as an MP?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I always say, well, as a mechanic, you diagnose and you fix problems, and essentially that's the job of a member of Parliament. It's just that when you're a mechanic, often you fix the problem in one day, and then when you're an MP, sometimes you're working on a problem for a decade, sort of thing. So that's where the similarity generally is, for sure. My friends always say, Arnold, there's not a wrench big enough to fix Ottawa. But I say we gotta try one way or the other, for sure. So the other thing is just when you're a mechanic, you're often listening to people. You're trying to understand what the issue is and how we can go about build a plan to fix it. And so that as well. And then just wherever you work, whatever you're doing, you have to manage your relationships with other people, and that's a big part of the job here as well, is that managing your relationship with other people. That's a really important part of the job. And so I would say that every experience in my entire life, you use the experiences of your life to be a member of Parliament, no matter what field you come from before.
Yeah, I think that would mean that Trudeau is breaking the car down and creating all the problems.
Yeah, you could say that.
So speaking of Trudeau and the problems he's creating, let's talk a little bit about Bill C-21. So I want to ask, so I also want to ask you, what is your government doing in order to fight Bill C-21? And what feedback have you heard about Bill C-21 from your constituents and / or other Canadians?
Yeah, for sure. So Bill C-21 is a firearms bill that the Liberals have brought forward. The bill in and of itself was like widely reviewed before, and they introduced it. It had three elements to it. It had a ban on handgun sales. It had a red flag law effect, and it also had just a piece around a number of firearms that were being banned in Canada. Now, that bill, the red flag law piece, got taken out of the bill at committee, and so basically that bill kind of got reduced down. So the Liberals moved an amendment just a couple weeks back, and they added another 400 or 500 firearms to the list of firearms being banned. Now, what has happened is that many of these firearms are hunting rifles. And the Liberals have been adamant about the fact that they aren't banning hunting rifles, and yet some of these are clearly hunting rifles. They're like a buckmaster and a turkey gun and a fowl gun and things like that. Like right in their name, they say what they're intended to be used for. And so this has caused a lot of consternation across the country. Like there is folks from all over the country that have been reaching out, voicing their displeasure with the fact that they would ban hunting rifles and essentially make law-abiding firearms owners criminals because of this. So the conservatives have been the only ones to be pushing back against this for a very long time. Now, finally, the NDP are coming around to this idea as well, because the NDP represent a number of rural ridings as well, where there's hunters and farmers. And so we see that this, and now even the Liberals are, some of the Liberal MPs are coming out against this amendment in particular. Firearms are not the problem in Canada. We do have violent crime problem across Canada, and we see that under the Liberal government, violent crime has increased. This is definitely due in part to the Liberals' kind of tacit support of the defund the police movement, their reduction of criminal sanctions when it comes to actual crime that happens in this country. They've reduced the sentencing for a whole raft of violent crimes. And there's kind of a revolving door that comes with the justice system. And it's generally the general sentiment around criminal justice that the Liberals just exude that has caused a dramatic increase in violent crime across this country. So I'm looking forward to the time when there's a conservative government who takes law and order seriously and restores peace and security to our cities without going after law-abiding gun owners.
Yeah, I mean, you're completely right here. I mean, it's sad to see Canada becoming a nation where there's so much potential, both economically, socially, the people, everything. Canada has the potential to not only be the freest, but the best country in the world, right? And Trudeau is kind of he's not doing that. He's not really making it a better country. He's going after the wrong people. He's not focusing on the real part of the issue. And it's sad to see law-abiding citizens getting the punishment.
For sure.
So, as a final part of our interview, we will be moving on to our advice for the next generation, where we will be talking about youth involvement in politics and more. So, I want to ask you, what should young high school conservatives do in order to get more politically active, and what is one piece of advice you would like to give them?
Well, for folks that want to get more politically active, I would say show up. The decisions are made by those who show up, and so you can join a local EDA, which is Electoral District Association. There are many parliamentary internship programs as well. So if you're part of a particular community, most communities have a parliamentary internship program. There's a conservative parliamentary internship program. So there's a number of those. Just Google parliamentary internship program, and you're likely to come across a handful of them that are you're able to participate in. So that would be probably the easiest way to come and work on Parliament Hill. But yeah, if you're further afield or don't want to come to Ottawa, joining your local EDA was good. And also consider the provincial legislatures as well. I noticed in the background you have like the Ontario. I think that's the Ontario PC, part of the Ontario PC emblem in your thing as well. So definitely consider going to Queen's Park and things like that. So get to know somebody that's working on Parliament Hill or Queen's Park and ask them about parliamentary opportunities. There are always jobs to be had and positions to be filled.
Yeah, I mean, getting involved is the most important thing. I myself got involved last federal election in 2021, and ever since then, I don't regret it at all. I've made lots of new connections, networking, and I've gained lots of experience that helps me in life when it comes to social experiences, getting just talking to new people, the skills you get from working inside like politics and the party you won't get anywhere else. And it's definitely a nice environment to get it in as well, sticking up for what you believe in.
Very good, for sure.
So thank you, Arnold, for your time today. We really appreciate you being here with us, and we wish you well in the future.
Well, thanks for having me, Vashu.
Thank you.